Did everyone like the finale? It's quite a way to ring in the holidays, I guess, here. Let's bring out this incredible cast and get the conversation starting with Lou Diamond Phillips, Tom Payne, Michael Sheen, and Bellamy Young.
Hi, you guys.
Thank you guys all so much for coming out tonight and chatting. I want to start, Michael, with you and talk a little bit about what it was like for you to get into this very daunting character.
It's just like my everyday life. It's not really acting. It was the question. I don't think I'm in that episode, am I? So if you haven't seen any of the rest of it, none of this will make sense. But there was a central question, I suppose, at the heart of the premise of the relationship between father and son in this, which is this man, the character I play, capable of love? And that was the very beginning of, everything comes from that, really. That he is a psychopath, sociopath. He's done terrible things. He's a monster. And we're sort of asked to entertain the possibility that he loves his son and wants to have a close relationship with him. I'm saying nothing. But that is the kind of riddle that's at the heart of, everything to do with everything that I do in this, really. And that was what hooked me. As an actor, that's what hooked me, and hopefully that sort of hooks an audience as well.
Definitely. Tom, for you, was it tough to get into the twisted mind of Malcolm?
Yeah, there's a lot going on in there, really. It's quite tough in general. The scenes with Michael are exhausting, if I'm honest, because there's so much. There's just so much going on in those scenes. Because ultimately, leading on from what Michael was saying, it is about love, and one of Malcolm's central issues is that he knows that his father did all of these horrible things, but at the end of the day, he's his dad. And he actually remembers him as this, he lost him when he was like 10. And up until that point, he'd been an amazing dad who he loved very much, and they'd done all these wonderful things together, and they had a really close relationship. And then suddenly he became this other person. And all of these other stories came out about him, and then everyone else is telling him who his father is. So these scenes that they have together the undercurrent is always like, I want a hug from this monster. Ultimately, it's like, my father is here and I want to have a relationship with him, but I shouldn't have a relationship. It's just, so those scenes are just exhausting. Because at the end, I'm just like, I don't know, how to feel. Because he doesn't know how to feel, Right. But they're wonderful. Wonderful fun for an actor, to play. But yeah, they can be tough.
Bellamy, you look so sad hearing that.
I love my son. I hurt for him. No, it's true, though, that it's... there's a real delicious just sort of taffy pull with all these characters, at least the family. And that's certainly what I was really drawn to. And Jessica's delicious. It's a lot of fun to go to work and be Jessica. But how often do you have this conceit where you literally are trying to love and in equal parts trying to hate your, serial killer, father, husband, whatever? It's... God, it's so wonderfully complicated.
And Lou, you're kind of the outsider who doesn't have a history of a deep relationship with him, but a history of...
Well, he arrested me.
I was going to say,
well, there's that. That was an incredible one-night stand, if you really want to look at it. I got him in cuffs and I led him away, and,
Inside voice.
Oh, so sorry.
But that was really fun in that episode, because Sean Pertwee's character spends the whole episode ribbing you because you got lucky.
Yeah.
I love that little detail.
One of the lovely things about dealing with this family, and Halston Sage included as Ainsley, is how many layers we're going to peel back that deal with Gil Arroyo, you know, who was the man who arrested him, and by default became a surrogate father to Malcolm. Who knows what with Jessica? We don't know just yet. And what relationship?
Nothing with Jessica.
That you know of in your sequestered existence. To be honest, they haven't told me yet either, so, you know, we're all on equal footing here. But I mean, to be honest, that is what drew me to this. You know, I can go back 15 years, and I've been offered a shitload of lieutenants, you know. Yeah, oh my God. And I took a couple of them, where it's like, you be careful out there, mister. You're a loose cannon. You cut it out. Let me know how it goes. You know, call for backup. You know, and
You've never said call for backup on this show.
oh no, never. Only 2 or 3 times. But the one thing that is great for me is that I am involved with this family. I do have interaction with this family, and there's a history there. So there's obviously, in our conceit in this world, a crime of the week. But what makes it even more, to use Bellamy's term, delicious, is that there are all of these interpersonal dynamics between the characters, a history that we all share that the writers are slowly revealing, and a new dynamic with Malcolm's adopted family, and that is, you know, those of us in the NYPD. And so it becomes incredibly exciting for me to go to work every week, because the procedural part is fun, and we approach it as individuals and not so much as rote characters. Everybody has you know, I mean, from Aurora Perrineau to Frank Hartz and Idrissa, I'm sorry, Keiko, yes, Keiko Agana. You know, they treated us very well in casting very, very interesting people. And so the ensemble is incredibly strong. And I think that's one of the things that has made our show different, and one of the things that has certainly helped us to rise above the pack, if you will.
Is there a chance we're going to see Gil with Martin sometime soon?
There's a very high chance.
There's a very, very high chance that we will see Gil with Martin soon. And it was much awaited and much anticipated. So, yeah, it's kind of fun.
It's one of the greatest love scenes ever committed to film.
It is indeed.
I'll give you that little hint.
There is that.
It's a little teaser.
Yeah, yeah. Lots of intermingling of facial hair.
I spent the first few episodes that I did of the show just doing scene after scene of meeting someone that I hadn't seen in 20 years, which was great. Like my son, and then my daughter, my wife, and then finally, which we have done, meeting the man who arrested me, not having seen him. So I've got very good at doing, I haven't seen you for 20 years, acting in my little cell.
Tom, I wanted to ask you, episode 9, we saw a little bit of a lighter side of him, well, at least trying to be a little lighter.
Yeah, making an attempt. Yeah.
For a brief moment. Was that, for you as an actor, was it fun for you to have that little vacation?
It was fun, but it felt so odd. It was like allowing this character to have a bit of fun, but it was enforced fun, you know, like he was like, okay, I'm going to try this, and then of course it ended horrifically for him again. Like it just doesn't work out for him. And actually, when we shot that sequence of me like strolling down the streets of New York and having a lollipop and smiling to people, that was the day we found out we got the back 9 order. And so I was in a kind of a terribly confused state that day as well, because we, first of all, we weren't expecting to get that many episodes, actually, and so that was amazing. But then I was also having the dawning realization that I guess I live in New York now, and like all of my, my whole life was really, really changing at that point. So I just fitted in with Malcolm perfectly, because there's all these confused thoughts going on in my head, like, yay, our show got picked up, it's really successful, and oh my God, I guess I live here, and like all these different things going on, and that's, Malcolm is just so many things all the time. And I just, yeah, it's wonderful to play, but, you know, it's a challenge. But it was fun to be a bit lighter, or try.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of that a little bit, what do you guys like and dislike about filming in New York? I would assume weather is a big.
Well,
one.
when I shot the first few episodes, I was just here, an actor in New York, footloose and fancy free. And then when I came to shoot the next lot of episodes, I had a baby. So when the first episode went out of this, that was the day my baby was born. My daughter was born. So my daughter is as old as this show. So it's been a tale of two cities for me.
What about for the rest of you?
I was thrilled. It's funny. I was doing a guest spot on something a year prior to this show, walking through Union Square Park with my wife and my daughter. And I had done 6 years in Santa Fe, New Mexico, which I loved. I adored on Longmire. Yeah, it's a lovely show. Thank you. The desert is not my wife's favorite place, so she didn't visit a lot. Bugs and cactus and dust and timbers on the ceilings, and so not her vibe. But we're walking through Union Square Park, and she's looking around in New York City. She goes, "We could live here." And I said to her, "Be careful what you say, because it could happen." And within months, this pilot came up, and I went, "All right, do I go after this or not?" And she went, "Yeah." And I have not. I've worked in New York a lot over the years, whether it's filming here or just publicity or whatever. The last time I lived here was when I did The King and I on Broadway, which, thank you, was a magical experience for me. So New York has always been, I feel like, in my blood. And now with our daughter, we keep telling Indigo, "You're a part of New York's story, and she's now a part of yours." And so it means a lot to us. But the weather sucks sometimes.
It is my biggest dream to be here and get to be on a show. I was here right out of college for 10 years, did a bunch of, regional and Broadway, did a soap for a minute, doing the New York thing. And went to LA because my agents were like, "You ever gonna go to LA? You're already too old to go to LA." And I thought, well, great. And did, and God bless LA. I respect her, and she's been so good to me, but we do not understand each other at all. So I am so happy. Literally, I happy cry every moment of every day that we're here. I walk out of my house and see every show that I can, and just walk down the street and eat everything, and have every conversation. The city is so nourishing on so many levels, and so interesting and inspiring and challenging, and it just makes me feel as alive as I can ever imagine feeling. So to get to be here and also have have challenging work to channel all that joy and inspiration into, it's literally, I'm living my dream.
Yeah, there is nothing like working in New York. It is amazing. It's an amazing place to work. And I'm sure Tom has the same
I
experience.
don't really live in New York.
Well, but what I mean is that, what I was going to say is that as a British person, you the first time you come to New York, it is like being in a film anyway, because we know it so much from the TV screen, or the cinema screen, and so it feels like you are in this kind of film already. And then to actually work here is extraordinary. I first worked here on the Y2K millennium. Around time I was doing Amadeus on Broadway, and then the next time was Frost Nixon on Broadway, and then I did The Good Fight recently, and now this, and it's there's nothing like the feeling of working in New York, I don't think.
It's very cool. The first time I came here when I was 15, and you do come and you're like, wow, this is amazing. And then I did walk down to Times Square and see our video billboard and cry. I was like, and I mean, it's really kind of a big moment, that kind of stuff. And having said that, I now live in New York, I don't really feel like I do. I'm so jealous of Bellamy because she goes and sees all the plays and does all the things, but I work all the time. So I don't really take advantage of living in New York at all. But I'm super grateful to. I mean, it is amazing, like Michael says, because we do grow up in England, and I mean, I really wanted to live in California, and I split my time between the two now, and it's a dream, and it really, was going down to Times Square and seeing. I did sit there for a long time looking at the billboard, like, wow, this is amazing.
There was a moment, and it's funny because we were filming out on the streets, which is always fun, and I was a little crazy in the era of camera phones. But you know, I've said it before. I grew up in Texas, so I mean, fans in the South are different. Yeah, no, New York fans are great because we will literally be filming and we'll get the guy walking by. Hey, how you doing? Hey, love the show. Keep it up. All right, yeah, you do what you do.
So we had that guy drive past in the van the other day. He was like, "Yeah, film that show." And I was like, "This is amazing." Like, and you don't like. I just spent 3 years filming down in Georgia, like in the woods, you know. But then to film in the middle of Manhattan is something else, and it's great. It has an energy about it that you just won't get anywhere else. And I'm so happy that we can film a show set in New York, because that doesn't necessarily happen all the time either.
Working in New York is like being in a montage in an 80s film starring Michael J. Fox. Going down the city, New York, hey, whoa, all that kind of stuff. It's like being in one of those montages. Or Diane Keaton with a baby. That's what it feels like.
I am going to mix in a few of the audience questions because they submitted some, and this one actually goes with kind of what you were saying, Tom, that do you prefer the Atlanta heat to the New York weather?
It's the same, except it's much more smelly here. And it's the kind of smell that you taste. And it's like, it's
He who
astonishing.
smelt it, dealt it.
Yeah, and it could be any number of people that dealt it
Is a
at
British
any one
saying.
time. It's
That I'll
it's
remind you of.
It really, like, from one second to the next, you go like, oh, that's a really delicious smell, and oh my god, that's horrific. And then the winter comes and covers all the smells up, which is great, but means that I have to get new shoes and new coats and new everything in order to exist in New York. But no, the weather. In Atlanta it was like really thick, humid weather and lots more bugs. Like you have to deal with all the bugs there, which you don't have to deal with here. There are other things here.
Could you get any fried food down there?
Any fried food? Oh
Fried food.
well, that's a whole other thing down there. Yeah.
Bellamy, I want to ask you, we know that there's something maybe happening between Jessica and Gil, or maybe a past something happening that did happen. Is there anything you can say about that?
It's like we're being canny, but the honest truth is we don't know. So they have intimated to us, and they have put us in situations with long looks and held hands, and that sort of thing. And we're like, is this going somewhere? And then they're like, maybe. And we're like, okay. So
I mean, even more importantly, is that we're actually in a scene. It's like, did something happen?
Yeah.
Because if it happened, we need to know about it.
I know, that's the thing. But, like a goldfish in the bowl, you just play that moment, and then you swim to the other side of the bowl, and you play that moment.
Maybe it did, maybe it didn't.
Yeah.
When you guys all first signed on to this, how did you bond offset when you were kind of getting to know each other?
We don't like each other much, so we're not for the bonding.
There are still main members of this cast that I haven't met yet. I stand in my cell and I act with whoever walks in.
And he's tethered to the wall, so if we walk out, he's stuck. We
It's
also
true.
were not there for the table read. He and I were at South by, so we sat like side by side with a laptop Skyping into the so we didn't even get the table
right.
read bonding.
Oh, Tom wasn't at the table read, so
Oh,
there
yeah.
you go.
Well, that's a whole other story.
It's in my contract that I only have anything to do with the other actors as little as possible. So this is the perfect job for me.
We have on occasion managed to get together, which
Lou usually hosts, so we should give him props. He cooks and he hosts. Yvonne cooks like a dream. They have a beautiful view. We go down there. We have together time.
It's an ethnic thing. No, we've gotten together for parties and whatnot and little gatherings. And I also will say that the producers have been incredibly good about throwing a little dinner party every once in a while to get everyone involved. And the one thing that I will say about the producers, because this hasn't always been true, I don't know about the rest of you guys, but they don't always include family. Sometimes you go, can I bring my significant other, or can I bring my child, or what? And the other producers are like, no, we won't have any of that. This is important business. And our producers are very, very family oriented. So we bring kids, brand new ones, which is wonderful. And I think for this show in particular, it's just incredibly important. There's a lot of us who are very family oriented, and it's nice. It's nice to have, including the furry ones. I mean, the furry ones are welcome too. Yeah.
Bellamy's very excited.
I adopted a dog today.
So excited. I love it. I wanted to ask you guys as a group if you think that there is something still special about watching a show week to week versus binging all at once.
I know, I love it, but then I am like all about delayed gratification. I lived for Succession this year. I thought I was gonna bleed on Saturdays if Sunday did not come soon enough. Oh, it hurt so bad. It hurt so good. I lived for it. And I just really like having things to look forward to. I like enjoying things over time. I like having time to process it. Makes me crazy when I watch something on the Netflix and before the credits have rolled, it started like something else. I just can't. It hurts. It's like cognitive dissonance. Like it hurts. I need time to process. I'm 100 years old, so there's that. But I also, but I also love that it's the 21st century and we have Twitter, and so we get to share. Once a week when we are on, we get to share it with everybody. So it feels a little bit like a play. You see how things land, you see what people gravitate toward, you see what they like, what they don't like, and so getting to do that every once in a while feels good.
I think from an acting standpoint, making something, because when I left Walking Dead, I was thinking a lot about what should I do next, where should I place myself, and there was something attractive about being on a television show that is going to air weekly, because I kind of have a fear, like in a personal way, of like, I don't want to go and spend 8 months filming something and then it's out and a week later there's something else out. And that was, I enjoy the fact that we're on air and we're filming and it comes out week by week and then you can wait and binge it later if you really want to. But just from an acting from a lifestyle standpoint, like I want to, spend time on something and I want people to see it and enjoy it. And on some of the streamers and everything, when they release everything all at once, it's on to the next thing a week later, if it doesn't catch, or if it doesn't. And I think, because we're still filming right now, like we're getting feedback and we're listening to the audience and we're seeing what they like and we can make adjustments and make it better. And I think that's a nice advantage in a way, actually. And we get to, we just did a Super Bowl episode, which is going to come out with the Super Bowl, and it's all crazy explosions and fun stuff. And I love that, you can time things. We did a Christmas episode, like just now, and we did all these things, and that's nice, to have that and have it spread out like it is. So I'm really enjoying the episodic nature of it in that way, yeah.
I think, I suppose picking up on that, the idea of it coming out week after week allows the audience to be part of it. I mean, that's sort of what you're saying, I suppose, that, that having that time in between episodes to process what you've seen and to talk about it with people and to imagine where it might go. And that's part of the fun of it. It allows you to invest in it. It allows you to feel a sense of ownership of the story that you're watching. And that's really important. On the other hand, like I did a show called Good Omens, which was 6 episodes, and thank you very much. And we always thought of that as being one very long story. So it all coming out in one go was actually suited that, but it was only 6 episodes. But I think an ongoing thing. I mean, when I was growing up in Britain, there was only 3 channels when I was growing up. That's how old I am. And I remember coming into school the next day, and everyone had pretty much watched the same thing and been able to talk about it. And it became something that went beyond TV and entertainment. It became something that united people and created a sense of community. And I think that's even now, even if something is coming out week after week, it's so hard to get that because there's so much on. But I remember being back in Britain when that series Bodyguard was on, and that was the first time I had experienced. I think I got back to Britain when the last couple of episodes were on, and I kind of caught up with it. But everyone was talking about it. Everywhere you went. And it was on, you know, listening to the radio in the day, people would be talking about it on the radio, and people were talking about it on chat shows and in the pubs and all that. And it sort of didn't matter what the show was. It was the fact that everybody felt engaged with it. And it was really refreshing at a time when people felt very divided in all kinds of other ways. That a story could bring people together like that, and I think that's a lovely thing.
I think that's what happened with Walking Dead, and one of the reasons why Walking Dead became such a big thing is because everyone used to have Walking Dead parties on Sundays, and everyone used to get round and watch it together, and there is a huge fan base around that show, mainly because of that, really. It's having something to talk about with someone else and bonding over a television show, and it helped that it's week by week, absolutely, because if people are binging stuff, then you're watching it on your own most of the time, and then you have to wait for the next person to catch up and watch the whole thing. The weekly thing is good, I think.
We've benefited from it. You know, I mean, there was just a report that came out, and our numbers are still great, and we're still the #1 new highly rated show in the fall, even with the +7s, +35s, all of that, which is lovely. But we do come out of the gate strong with people who watch it same day, and a lot of us live tweet, you know, during it, and it's become this communal thing. And what amazes me are the GIFs and the memes and all the little things that have been created off of a brand new show. We are a brand new show. You know, we haven't been around for a long time, and yet people have gravitated toward it and have claimed it as their own. And we are starting to build, I think, that community sense, that fan base, if you will, you know, of people who are involved, you know, and invested in the show.
Absolutely, and I know we have to wrap up soon, but I want to end with another audience question here. What would you tell your younger self as an actor?
Probably nothing, because I would never have listened. And I mean, I used to say, like, don't do it, like, if to say young actors, and if that's enough for you to not do it, then you're not built for it anyway. Because it's just the most rejection anyone ever has in their life, and you have to have that self-belief. And even when you think you've got there and this is going to be the job that moves my career, then you go back down to being dirt poor and not. You know, it's so up and down all the time, and you make so many sacrifices. But I think, I would never have listened to any of it, because you have to have that dogged determination together, I think. So I don't know, because I wouldn't have listened.
I would definitely, and I wouldn't have listened either, so same thing. But I wouldn't have listened because I didn't have any self-esteem, not because I was too headstrong. I wish I could have fathomed to never go in the room trying to figure out what they want.
I did fall into that trap a bit.
I shat on a lot of years, like wearing like a very innocuous outfit and trying to, you know, mind read and pick up, you know, like, you know, instead of, first of all they want is you to be the answer. And second, all you can be is you, because that's your fucking magic power. So, I wish I could have figured that a minute earlier, but whatever. Time's an illusion. It's all good. But yeah, that's what I wish.
Room full of actors, yes, mostly, right? Okay, great, yay. God bless you, love you all. I think I would have told myself to relax a little bit more. I mean, I was fucking wound tight, you know, and it's interesting because I've lectured a time or two, and it's literally like that which makes you want to be great can also be your greatest, you know, downfall. You try so hard, you're so intense, you're so, you know, and you need to get to this place where you go, okay, I know who I am, I'm comfortable with who I am, now relax and just be that, you know?
You're never going to have the same career as someone else.
No, exactly.
Never helps to
and
look at
that's
someone else.
huge. Continuing to compare yourself, because I mean, and in you know my day, you know, in Michael's day, there were a lot of people to compare yourself to, and still today, you know, compared to the, you know, the different people who are, you know, doing incredibly well, and other people, to be quite honest, who are no longer with us in one way or the other. So I feel very fortunate about that. But it was about relaxing, and it's like once you relax, the other important thing is just pay attention to the work. Just pay attention to the work, you know? Just be an actor. Be the best that you can be. Do the work. Don't worry about the business. Don't worry about how people perceive you. Don't worry about whatever this fucking critic says or not. You know, do the work and elevate the work and elevate yourself by doing it. And that in and of itself will lead from one job to the next, to the next, to the next. And I was always worried about what was coming down the pipe, you know, always.
I think with reference to our show, it would be very easy for our show to be like soapy and turn up and say the words, but every single actor on the show is so strong and coming in and really selling all of the emotions and everything that we're playing, that it elevates the whole thing, you know, and that's what I really enjoy about it. And in this, the moment that you think less of your work, then the work becomes less.
Mine would be really, really seek out and make the most of the opportunity to fail. You know, a lot of our career, you're in positions where you can't fail, where you have to, you know, you have to nail it and you have to get it and all the rest of it. And so moments like when you rehearse or where you're not actually performing for a paying public or whatever it might be, look for those moments where you can take risks and go out of your comfort zone and do something and be stupid and look terrible and fail spectacularly, and everyone just thinks you're rubbish and they laugh at you, because that's what will make you a better actor. And I learned that. I was very fortunate. My very first job was I came out of drama school and I did a play with Vanessa Redgrave, and for the whole of the rehearsal period, I thought, she's supposed to be good, isn't she, Vanessa Redgrave? This is the worst acting I've ever seen. And it was because she had absolutely no fear of failure. She knew exactly what rehearsal was for, which was to experiment and explore, not to find the way to say this line. It was to go out there and explore, what are the parameters? How far can I go before I've gone in the wrong direction? How can I explore all of this? And I sat there and I watched her and I thought, oh, right, you've got to, yeah. So being good is partly about not being afraid of being bad. And I'd also been very fortunate, and I bring this up because one of the teachers that I had at drama school who had the biggest effect on me was a man called Ben Benison, and he did improvisation stuff, and he did exactly the same thing, where he would do these classes where you were just encouraged to be just embarrassed and humiliated. I mean, not be humiliated by other people. You felt humiliated because he just threw you out there and you sank or swam in these improvisations. And it was the most extraordinary thing to get used to feeling so vulnerable and so out of your depth. But the things that I found in those classes have stood me in good stead ever since. They've absolutely made me the performer that I am. And he died last week. And I was so sad. And I sort of haven't really thought about him that much for a long time, but it reminded me that he absolutely created the foundation for me of what it is to be an actor and how you get better. Because we can sort of stay at our level and cruise and get by, and that's one thing. But if you want to get better, you have to take risks. And in order to take risks, you have to be prepared to fail. And that's the most precious thing, to be able to do that and not get fired for it. So seek those moments.
I did a play where Imogen Stubbs played my mum, and she told me a story about Vanessa Redgrave. They were doing like a Noel Coward play in town or something, and halfway through a scene, Vanessa Redgrave took the lime out of her drink and put it in Imogen's mouth, like halfway through the scene. And Imogen after was like, why did you do that? And Vanessa's like, I just in that moment felt that it was right. It's just so amazing that just do it and just go with it and have fun and take the risks and whatever, you know. It's just such a fun little story.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming and chatting with everyone here. Prodigal Son returns with its winter premiere on January 20th on Fox. Thanks, guys.